Good morning and welcome to another edition of the pre-market PulseScan with yours truly, Dex the Algo Capitalist, aka the Vulcan, coming to you live from PulseWaveTrading.com, home of the world famous PulseWave price trigger reports that we place in your hand each and every trading day. Hopefully, everyone really enjoyed the 3-day weekend. I know I did. I relaxed, playing some video games with the kids and enjoying 2K21, my career, and enjoying the new joint that just dropped on the Nintendo Switch, Shaolin versus Wu-Tang, classic for all you old heads out there that remembers growing up on Sunday afternoons watching the Kung Fu Action Theater marathon that would run, if you were lucky, sometimes from noon until like 6 p.m. East Coast time. Yeah, you remember all those episodes and all your favorite actors and big bosses and your Jim Kellys and your Bruce Lees and Bruce Lee. Don't forget Bruce Lee and all those dudes, man. So yeah, they this dude that was one of his loves, and he actually made a game for that, and it's on the Nintendo eShop now for $9.99. And I must tell you, it is so nostalgic. He has all the sound effects, the music from the show, from the movies, everything. So we had a lot of fun, man. You know, that's what you're supposed to do on the weekends and on holidays. You kick back. You don't watch no news. You don't do none of that stuff. You decompress. And then when business comes up like today, here we go, back to work. Now it's time to get busy. And we got a lot to talk about. So let's jump right into it. So in your overnight markets, you got your Dow Jones right now down 269 points at 27,799. You got your NASDAQ 100 down 369 points at 11,180. You got your E-mini S&P 500 down 51 points at 3366 half. Russell My Hustle down 13.4 at 1518 even. And the mighty Bitcoin Futures Composite Index is really shaking out. All of the weak hands is down $645, trading at 9,975 after hitting an overnight low of 9,890. Well below that 10,005 to 10,000 support threshold. We'll see if we get a close here or if the market wants to recover. Looking at nat gas, we're down 4 cents at $2.54. Crude oil down a whopping $2.67, trading at $37.10. That last crash alert from that last video was quite a shocker. We knew that was coming. Long bond is up powerfully, up a full point in 730 seconds, trading at 176 and 1930 seconds. Gold futures getting smacked around, down $13.70, trading at $1,920.70. An ounce, looking at silver, it is down 13 cents, trading at $26.58 an ounce. Moving over to the US dollar index, which is continuing to strengthen. Right now it's up 61 pips at 93.33. Because of that, you got your euro dollar now down 63 pips at 117.90. Pound sterling right now is also off 260 pips, trading at 130.29. You got your Aussie down 65 pips at 72.33. Canadian dollar right now is off 76 pips at 130.165. Euro yen off 58 pips at 124.99. Dollar yen down 25 pips at 106.01. And the Kiwi is off 52 pips at 66.41. Soybeans down 4.5 at 963 half. Corn down a quarter at 357 3/4, and wheat is off 7 at 543 1/4. So that's a look at your markets. Now, some markets that were open just briefly yesterday, they closed around 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 noon Chicago time. And that was your U.S. stock index futures, the Dow, the NASDAQ, Russell, S&P. They only traded for a few hours in the morning yesterday. And then, of course, your forex traded and some of your overseas equities traded. But coming into today, for those that that subscribe to the PulseWave reports, coming into today, we were looking at just how the markets trade over the holiday, and so we were looking to see if we were going to get some type of a short or small rebound. So we had a rally alert coming into this morning with the Dow futures and the E-mini S&P 500 futures and the Russell futures. And right now, just looking at it, it doesn't seem that the market was ready to do anything just yet. So didn't manifest. Doesn't mean that we're probably about to base out. Normally, when you get those alerts like that, it's usually because the market's ready to base out and start to regain some of that lost ground. It should also be noted that coming into today also, there are a lot of things that are going on right now that is leading to the declines that you're seeing. This is not just something that is organic. You got to keep in mind that the big players have been warning you for weeks that this was coming. Remember, I shared with you how a lot of the larger funds were net short the market. That's a lot of money that you have moving against you. So coming into today, yes, those large funds, they were shorting, and so the bots jumped on and it just became a cascading effect. So yeah, it's one of those things where you have to pay attention to the market. So right now, the market wants to continue to correct a bit, and then once it's done, then they'll pick up where it left off, and I think the rallies will continue in most of these markets. But it should also be noted that as far as the complexion of the markets go, Bitcoin futures composite index, gold futures, and the Russell are in official correction territory at the moment. As far as crude oil goes, it's in the Kumo cloud of death and consolidation and confusion. Now, this is according to the algo charts, okay? Nat gas also had a crash alert coming into today. Everything else still remains in a bull market. So your Dow, your S&P 500, your NASDAQ, they're still in a bull market. We're just in a corrective phase or pullback phase, however you want to say it. So that's basically what you have happening here is these funds finally, the market just collapsed under the weight of all of the large short positions that were building up in the market. And you have to respect that. When the market warns you and tells you that it's about to top out, you have to go with it. You can't just sit there and ignore it like the market's not speaking. All right, you have to do what you got to do. And yeah, this is Bitcoin week today at PulseWaveTrading.com. It's Bitcoin week. So if you want to know more about Bitcoin week, well, you need to go to PulseWaveTrading.com and find out what that's all about. I did tell you that we had some amazing things coming up and that you probably want to peep it, check it out, because we don't know how long this will last. But for right now, we got Bitcoin week this week. All right, so think of it as a Bentley car dealership. So you step into that showroom, and the first thing that you're thinking about is, hey, I can't wait to take this for a test drive. And it's not that, you've had many test drives before. Even when you got your first car, you know what that's like. But this is not your first car. This is a Bentley Rolls Royce. This is the creme de la creme, the top in class. It represents the word, when you think of Bentley Rolls Royce, you think of style, you think of fashion, you think of luxury, you think of unaffordable, unattainable by most people, a status car, if you will. So when you test drive it, you're definitely going to want to buy it, even if you've never driven in one before. It's just because of how the car is crafted, and then of course what it means to be seen driving one of them. Well, that's what we're doing here at Bitcoin Week at PulseWaveTrading.com. So you want to take a good gander at that and see what's up. All right. So in addition to that, quite a few things going on. As you know, we're getting closer to the elections, so people are starting to bug out over that. There's already controversy brewing over the mail-in ballots. The U.S. Postal Service has weighed in and said that they're going to, try to meet the demand as best as possible. But because of the whole COVID thing, the delivery, the U.S. mail delivery system has been pretty much compromised at this point. There have been all types of horror stories, and unfortunately, too, if you're trying to get packages from overseas, it's taking longer than usual. I know regular delivery coming out of Japan and China could take anywhere from a month to a month and a half in some cases. And now that they're having, import-export issues because of the whole COVID nonsense, it could take even longer. There are even problems with, coast-to-coast delivery. All right, you can still get your things, but in some cases, things are taking a little bit longer because of the whole COVID thing. So I don't know how that's going to work. When November hits, I don't know how that's really going to work. I have no idea. I just know that it is already becoming an issue. Another thing that we heard thrown around all summer was the fear or the concern that there was going to be a second wave coming. Well, it's been trickling throughout the news services worldwide. There's certain regions are already having a second wave, and in some cases, they found new strains which are more powerful than the original versions. So we have a lot going on that we have to wade through, and there's a lot of jawboning on the subject, and a lot of contradictory things being added as well. But one of the things that's really not being talked about is being overshadowed. And that's how the government and all of this throughout all of this year, this whole, pandemic stuff, it's that the government has been quietly getting bigger and reinforcing itself. All right, there's the opening bell for those of you that need to handle some business. It's been quietly getting bigger and stronger and quietly building out infrastructure that would make it so that it will be able to track all of the world's citizenry, not just United States, saying we're going to track everyone in the United States, but this is a global worldwide thing. And so I'm not sure, why that's being kind of, put to the back pages of the news cycle, but it is something that is raging like an undertow, like an undercurrent, and they're taking more and more liberties away and taking more liberties with the U.S. Constitution. And it seems that all of the world governments are inclusively on the same page with said power grab. And regardless of the skirmishes and wars and rumors of wars, what you're seeing and hearing underneath all of that is they're quietly building out this one world government. And they keep coming out with other breaking news pieces to stare you away from that reality. But what we're truly seeing is the real build out of not just a one world government, but also the foundations of a one world religion. I think this pandemic, if it hasn't showed us anything, it's definitely showed us how much lockstep the world really is with each other. So on the surface, oh, you hear them bickering, you hear about trade wars and all this other stuff. But when it comes to everything else, they're 100% in unison. Notice how virtually every country on the earth shut down and locked down simultaneously with no argument. Now it takes them forever to pass a law or to argue a new bill or what have you. But when it came to this whole COVID thing, they were 100% in unison. It also showed you that this thing was planned. That's why I call it a pandemic, because as soon as it hit and they labeled it a pandemic, they already had a bunch of apparatus already prepared for it, signage and billboards and all types of what do you call that, paraphernalia, if you will. Everything was already pre-planned. They had everything. You and I both know that it takes governments forever to decide on anything. But in this, they all decided simultaneously, and they were all speaking the same language. They were talking the same language. Everyone had the exact talking points. Didn't matter about language or culture. Everyone had the identical talking points. No one varied from the narrative. They even went as far as to censor anyone, anybody that was not coloring within the lines. If you were getting outside of the narrative, you automatically had a fake news label slapped on you and you will be censored. They don't do that for anything else except for things that evolve around their agenda. They don't do it for anything else, though. Only things that are a direct threat to the agenda or to the narrative. And people, it's gone over their head. Every time it goes over their head. That's how you know that it's government involvement, that it is a government operation or a government narrative. Whenever they have a government operation, there's a government narrative to go with said government operation. And if anyone speaks out away from that narrative, they're automatically ostracized, labeled a quack, or labeled a conspiracy theorist, or ignorant, dumb, stupid, or racist, whatever the term that will be most effective for the individual, that's what they'll slap on them. But they don't do that for anything else. Nothing else. Case in point, if you don't believe me, see what happens when you bring up 9/11. Remember that? Remember how people were speaking against the narrative? Remember what happened to them? How about the JFK assassination? Remember what happened when people spoke about that, spoke against that? What about Sandy Hook? I mean, the hammer really came down on that. The hammer really came down. What about the coronavirus? Oh, yeah. What about flat Earth? What have you seen the government be so involved and care so much about something that's supposed to be, you know, inferior, stupid, small talk, nonsensical? If it's nonsensical, why do you care? Why are you wasting time and effort and resources to build walls around the truth if what people are saying is so nonsensical? But see, that's hard to do. because when it's a medical government operation of a medical nature, when medical professionals speak out, even those that have been decorated and won awards and been practicing in their disciplines for decades, they too are silenced and ostracized and shut out altogether. They remove them or make it difficult for them to speak out. They take away their social media platforms and everything else. Okay. So anything that is a government operation or speaks out against the government narrative is automatically attacked, marginalized, and silenced. You don't see them doing that for anything else. Only things that the world government is involved in. So I think by now, if people just take a step back, you'll see how this is all possible. On 9/11, there was a government operation, which was followed by a government narrative. Sandy Hook, government operation, followed by a government narrative, right? You think about, the whole thing with the Timothy McVeigh, government operation, government narrative. Anyone who speaks out against these things is automatically attacked by the government, not just its citizenry, but the government. Why would you need to do that? Why do you even care about a flat earth debate? Why does NASA need to speak out against that? And it's funny because the government will attack you when you speak out against these government operational narratives. They attack you, but yet they won't have an open public forum debate on any of those topics or subjects, because you're not supposed to touch them. You're not supposed to talk about it. You're not supposed to question anything. They will never have a debate. Ever. They can't, because they'll be exposed. And they know this. That's why they avoid government open debate. There's no openness. When the government gets afraid, what do? They hide behind the word national security. That's all they got to do is say national security, and then that just comforts them. They don't have to worry about it anymore. And then it's funny how they gave you the sense that you were able to see a open government, because they say, look, we're open, man. We are open. We created a right to know thing. All you got to do is request the information, and under the Freedom of Information Act that we put together for you guys, you can get whatever you want. So I don't know why you're saying we're not being open and transparent. We are. All you got to do is just request it. And then when you request the information, if it's really something they don't want you to know, they'll say, we have no record of that. We can't find that anywhere. I don't know. Maybe it was erased or destroyed or deleted in error. No accountability. If that was the case, there's no accountability. And then if they do release the documents to you, everything has been redacted. Everything is blacked out. Every word on the page is blacked out. They send you pages and pages of blacked out pages. So it makes it unreadable. Yeah. That is not freedom of information. You're not giving any information. It's something they created to pacify the public. Well, at least they did release it. No, they didn't. You can't make any sense out of a white piece of paper with black magic mark on it. Can't read that. So this is what we've been dealing with, and this is what we've said is okay, because as long as you're keeping us safe, as long as the people believe that their government is keeping them safe and taking good care of them, they're willing to believe anything the government tells them. They're willing to sacrifice all of that, because at the end of the day, the people really don't want to know. They don't want to have to deal with the ramifications and repercussions of knowing what they know. They don't want to have to face that, because then if you know something, now you have to do something. It's not just good enough to know. It's not well enough to know, but now you have to act on what you know, or knowing what you know. There's no reason to know unless you're going to act on what you know. And people just want to be pacified. They want to be told that everything is going to be okay. Just let us take care of you. We're your government and we love you. And then there's another narrative around government, that government is holy and godly and will never do anything maliciously with malicious intent to harm said citizenry. They would never do that. They would never violate your rights or remove your rights altogether. They would never do that because your government loves you. And that goes for elected officials as well as non elected government officials. People whom you never elected, but that your elected officials elected. It can be said that you have given away too much of your rights by way of giving away too much power to your government. You've made your government all powerful. We live in a world of omnipotent government. You even allowed for the government to be able to check and balance itself. So you got the fox guarding the hen house. And that's okay because they're keeping us safe, is what you're told. And that's just what you believe. And they said, we're going to investigate the matter. And they use their own people to investigate the matter. People whom they control and they know are going to push forward the narrative that they want pushed forward. There's no independent audit. Not really. Not really. Not really. No independent audit. The government audits itself. So again, what kind of an outcome do you expect when you have the fox guarding the hen house? Of course, you're going to get the result that you want because you don't want to know. You really don't want to be involved, and you really don't want to have to make those type of decisions or face those type of realities. You even let them push forward a ridiculous notion that, there is life out there on other planets, blah, blah, blah. But we can't tell you that because if we did, it would destroy your religious beliefs. Since when does a government care about religious beliefs? Why do they care about your religion? See, again, they say, we're protecting you. All right, we're going to make it so you can still believe your lies. And we know that they're lies because we know something you don't know, which is that there are aliens out there. You don't have any alien talk in your holy book, do you? See, that's why we're keeping this from you because we don't want to hurt you. Because if you knew, the truth, then it will make you question your religious beliefs. And, we don't want to do that. We don't want to hurt people with that because we would hurt you. And they have people believe in that. They have you believe in that. And so they say, it's good that they keep this secret from us because, it's national security. They're keeping us safe. Safety is an illusion. It does not exist. No government can keep you safe. No person can keep you safe. Safety is an illusion. Do you know why it's an illusion? Because we live in a fallen world and a fallen universe. And no one can prevent harm from happening to you. If someone wants to just walk up to you in broad daylight and blow your head off, the government can't stop that from happening. So there is no safety and there is no security. The only thing the government can do is hopefully apprehend the individual who committed the crime and prosecute them. But they cannot prevent or stop it from happening to you. See, again, that's the illusion. We live under the illusion that our government can keep us safe. Our government could never keep us safe. Our government can't even protect its own borders. There's nothing to prevent tragedy from happening. Your government cannot keep you safe. It is impossible and illogical. What governments do is respond and prosecute. That's all they can do. So and so committed a heinous crime. so-and-so is going to be prosecuted. If you can even capture and apprehend the suspect, if there is even a suspect to go after. So the illusion of the government keeping us safe, you are an idiot if you have thought that. And that's no reflection on you. You can't help but to operate in the programming that you've been programmed to operate within. A computer can only function as it's been coded and programmed to function. It cannot outdo what its programming has programmed it to do. It can only follow the commands of its inputs that it was designed to follow. What happens when a computer does not follow its commands that it was designed to follow? We call that a crash. Your computer is crashing. It can no longer operate the way it was designed to operate. It is now malfunctioning. It is crashing. That is the same thing here. It's hard for an individual to break their programming because all of their life they've been following said programming. So it is impossible to break said programming, especially if the individual has not been enlightened to the point that they realize that they've been programmed in the first place and that they're not really thinking independently. They're thinking as the Borg. We have been living in the Borg without even realizing it. Once again, under the coronavirus, all the world governments, for the most part, agreed to act simultaneously, and they all had the identical talking points, regardless of language or culture. Ladies and gentlemen, the coronavirus has revealed that we have been living under a one world government with a one world religion. I went over the tenets of that religion in a previous broadcast. All you got to do is go to the YouTube channel and look it up. You'll see it. It's talking about the one world government, the one world religion, and what those tenets and pillars are that make it up. All you have to do is listen to that, and then you'll realize that, yeah, that's exactly where you've been living, and you just didn't even realize it. Where do you think these talking points come from? Why do you think when you watch mainstream media, regardless of the channel or the network, the talking points are the same as if they're reading from a script? Because they are. News is no longer made up. There's no investigative journalism anymore. The news is given to the news outlets, not investigated. They no longer make the news. The news is given to them. It's spoon-fed to them. All they have to do is read from a teleprompter, and that's it. That is the news that you're given. The news that you're given is coming from your government. Your government controls the media. It tells the media what it wants the media to tell you. Sort of like the old phrase, when I want your opinion, I'll give it to you. That's what you're seeing right now. And the government wants you to have an opinion about something. They first give you the opinion that they want you to have, and then they march in front of the TV, so-called experts who will then confirm the narrative. And in doing so, now you speak, Fed speak, because now you are carrying and pushing forth the narrative that you heard on TV. Therefore, it must be real because it was on TV, right? It must be factual because so-and-so said it. Tom Cruise said it. Oprah Winfrey said it, so it must be true. They would know. Someone's Dr. Fauci's an expert. He's a doctor. He went to medical school. He's a doctor. He knows these things. So we have to listen to him. What about all the other hundreds of other doctors who went to medical school? Some who have more designations after their name than he does. But you don't listen to them. You listen to him. Why? Because he's on television. They're not. They're not allowed to go on television and talk about what they know and question the narrative. You can't have that. When will the citizenry wake up? The answer is never. You're allowing your freedoms to vanish right before your eyes. While Black Lives Matter and Antifa, both terrorist organizations, are terrorizing the United States with acts of violence and vandalism against persons and property, you're not saying anything about your freedoms being yanked from you. Did you know that Amazon is coming out with a new watch that is a faceless watch? It doesn't give you the time. It doesn't do any of that. You know what it's designed to do? It's designed to steal biometric data from you to help them build out their beast system even further. See, that's how they're going to know, because it's going to have everything that makes you uniquely you given to them in the form of data. Okay? This data will be shared with the government to help them build out their beast tracking system. So everything that makes you you will make it easier for them to track, because they can just add that to the bandwidth of your particular identification. And when that identification nomenclature is fully built out, it'll be easily for them to track you electronically, everything you do, everywhere you go. And they'll be able to link you up with everyone within your circle by way of social media like Facebook. So they'll know who all your friends are. So it'll be easily to track you further. You will be scanned everywhere you go that has the 5G network reading capability. So they can hear you, they can see you everywhere you go. That's why there are drones in the sky that never come down. They can even recharge in the air. They never have to land. And they're constantly sending and receiving data back to a database on everything and everybody. You don't think that what we're saying is true? You want to look into it yourself? You should. Because did you know that Customs Border Protection, they have bought $500,000 worth of location data recently? That's right. Customs and Border Protection, known as CPB, just got its hands on a whole bunch of location data. The news service Motherboard Vice Technology segment uncovered a procurement order in the amount of $476,000 paid to the company Ventel Software last month. Ventel specializes in location data mining. Location data mining, compiling and selling GPS data gathered on users from various phone apps. Sources who work with Ventel gave Motherboard more insight into the type of data the government now has its hands on. Ventel's technology only gives what they say is anonymized data, meaning it does not identify specific people or phone numbers, which is a lie. It gives only a randomized identification number, lies. But there is an easy way to identify the owners of the phone. Of course, all that's a lie. Your information is for sale, ladies and gentlemen. I told you that since I first came on YouTube. Now, unless they've changed it, this was back in the day. Did you know back in the day that all the credit bureaus were selling data? All of your data. If I wanted to, I could buy specific data and narrow it down to very minute details. And it would include name, phone number, and address. What are you talking about? That's old news. Yes, your data is for sale, ladies and gentlemen, on the internet. And I'm not talking about the deep web or the dark web. I'm talking about the regular internet. All right. The tri-merge credit bureaus do give out your data. It can be bought unless they pass the law that I'm unaware of. That data could be bought. Anyone could have bought that data. Anyone. You got the money, you got the data. Now, the technology allows the CBP to draw a perimeter around a geographical area and obtain the location data for any phones in that area. In this way, CPB could draw a circle around one particular home, acquire the data from it, and surmise that the few devices in that home belong to the homeowners. What does this really mean? This allows customers and border protection to ignore laws that require them to obtain a warrant before surveilling particular subjects. Once again, this allows them to ignore laws. Fortune 500 companies and companies in general, especially that work with the government, have the ability to ignore laws that require them to obtain a warrant before surveilling particular subjects. They simply purchase the data instead of having to show probable cause that a crime has been committed. Again, they purchase the data, meaning that someone has compiled the data to sell in the first place. And keep in mind that the CPB does not just target, um, you know, one little person, two little people. Nah. And they don't care about ethics. Not at all. Okay? They don't care. They recently flew their surveillance drones over cities outside the border zone to help other local and federal law enforcement agencies identify and monitor protesters. I warned you that that was already in place. You useful idiots. Useful idiot. I told you that that was going to be the next step, and I'm telling you it's going to happen. And they're probably going to keep it under the low, hush, hush, keep it out of the media as they round the thousands of you up. All right? They recently flew their surveillance drones over cities outside the border zone to help other local and federal law enforcement agencies identify and monitor protesters. Identify who is a protester, regardless of you wearing that mask, and monitor protesters. Of course, CPB is being tight-lipped about what exactly the Ventel software will be used for. A CPB spokesman said, consistent with its border security and law enforcement authorities, CPB has acquired limited access to commercial telemetry data through the procurement of a limited number of licenses to a vendor-provided interface. That's tech talk to mind your business. Don't worry about what we're doing and who we're giving it to. Don't worry about all of that. This is not the first government agency to use this loophole to skirt the intent of the Fourth Amendment, which requires a warrant to collect certain personal information on people. Now, in June, the House Oversight Committee opened an investigation into Ventel's sale of personal data to the Department of Homeland Security, Internal Revenue Service, and Federal Bureau of Investigations. Did you catch that? Did you catch that? In June, the House Oversight Committee opened an investigation into Ventel's sales of personal data to the Department of Homeland Security, Internal Revenue Service, and the FBI. It's already game over when they said Department of Homeland Security. House Oversight Committee ain't got no power over that. You may think they do, but they don't. Homeland Security, IRS, and FBI. All right, they're putting you guys on notice. All of you rioters, looters, you will be hearing from the Department of Homeland Security as well as the IRS and the FBI. So you've been put on notice. What can you do about it? Not a dang thing. Now, of course, the fewer apps you give permission to share your location with, the less vulnerable you will be to this particular software identifying you. Now, in a recent exclusive interview for Total Access, Sovereign Man's top-tier service, Simon talked to a world-class security expert who worked in military cybersecurity. He gave some tips on how to stop your devices from handing out your personal data. Compartmentalize. Use different phones, one you trust more and one you trust less, and therefore avoid putting personal or sensitive information on it. For instance, people can hack into your device through sophisticated tools such as Pegasus spyware that can gain access through a phone call or text. That's how Jeff Bezos was targeted by the Saudis who stole pictures from his phone, which Bezos had sent to his mistress, and it cost Bezos about $40 billion in a divorce. If Bezos had one phone for close friends and family and a second phone for talking to sketchy Saudi princesses, this situation could have been avoided. I think not. What organization has not been listed here, you guys, is the NSA. Like I said, you can say, you know what? I'm going black. I'm not going to use a cell phone. I'm not going to use any home security system. I'm not using any electronic devices. I'm just going to go straight off the grid like that. It doesn't matter. It's too late. They already have information on you. Don't forget the information, you guys, goes back to pre-internet. Remember, they hired young high school kids like me to take that information and put it into a database. That's what we were paid to do. What information was we putting into the database? Names, addresses, and phone numbers. Yep. We put in names and addresses and phone numbers of every U.S. American citizen. Every U.S. American citizen that was alive during that time, your information is in that database. So it's already too late. They already know everything about you. Now this is before. This was pre-internet. I remember back in the 80s. I remember being tracked down, and again, I was a kid. All right, being tracked down by the government to give me some money that I had inherited. Didn't even know I had inherited any money, but they tracked me down and gave me that information, gave me that check, and I wasn't even living in the same place. We had moved. And again, I'm a kid. It's not like I'm active and I got, credit cards and a mortgage. I'm a kid, man. I'm still in school. I'm underage. See what I'm saying? But here we are. The government tracked me down. How do you suppose they did that? I had no driver's license. I had no credit cards, no bank account, no nothing. So how did they track me down? And I had moved. Wasn't even living at home at the time. So how do you explain that? No internet, no cell phones, no social media, and they ran down on me with that money. Okay? So what do you think they can do today? If they could do that back in the 80s with no internet, no cell phones, no social media, what do you think they can do today? They tracked me, and I had moved, so there was no current address available for me because I was not living with my mama at the time. So how do you think they tracked me down? You see what I'm saying? And now we got NSA and we got Homeland Security. We got drones. We got all types of technology. You don't think they know the names, phone numbers, and complete history of every protester, of every terrorist who's rioting and looting? You don't think they know? They're coming to get y'all, useful idiots. I warned you. I told you. You took that check from George Soros too? Shame on you. They already know who got paid. You took the money. They already got your information. They know who you are. They're using all of you. And then they're gonna lock you up. When all this is said and done, depending on the outcome, you guys are out of here. They throw all of you under the bus, which means they throw all of you into the FEMA camps. maybe even Guantanamo Bay. They may even ship all of you out of the country altogether, deport all of you. But I'm born in America. I've been here. My family's been here for over 100 years. Doesn't matter. You're out of here. Depending on your security goals, you could, for instance, keep one phone for downloading all the apps you want. But no matter what you do, people, unless you go black right now, you got to go dark right now. You got to live in a cabin in the middle of the woods somewhere using no type of electronics, using nothing, no, and have no ID, no passport. You're not working a job. You're just living off the land. Whatever you live in, you living like a nomad in the woods. That is the only way that you can do it, is to go off the grid. And you know what? Unfortunately, that's not even an option for you right now either, because the sky is being constantly probed every square inch. If they really want to find you, they can find you. They will find you. You need to understand that. All right. A lot of crimes go unsolved because they don't care. They have bigger fish to fry. You don't think they know who murdered little Scotty? You don't think they know that? You don't think they know who was driving the car during that drive by? You don't think they know that? They know. They don't care. See what I'm saying? Open your eyes, people. This is already here. It's upon us. All right. The data mining, all this stuff is already here. It's already upon us. And while everyone is thinking about the election and how they're gonna, buy their next loaf of bread, they are scheming and scamming to take all of your liberties and to burn the Constitution. They want to burn the U.S. Constitution into ash and rubble and stubble so they can roll out the new plan, the new agenda. And unfortunately, it's just what it is. It's just the way it is, ladies and gentlemen. There's no way around it. They're doing what they do. So now the next question you may have is, well, where in the world do we go from here? I don't know. Ask Nancy Pelosi. She seems to have all the answers, even though she was caught being a hypocrite while she closed down all the salons and told people they couldn't go reopen and open their business. She got caught in a salon getting her hair did and not wearing a mask. Quite hypocritical, isn't it? And then she said, "Oh, I was set up by Trump. He set me up." Oh, really? So he put a gun to your head and told you you better go up in there? No, no. She was caught, and she really had no defense. No, nothing she could say. Busted. But that's not the first. Did you know that gym owners in San Francisco are furious because they've learned the government gyms have been open for months, but they're not allowed to open their gym? See what I'm saying? The rules and the laws are for you. It's for you serfs. It's not for the government. They give themselves all types of escape clauses and loopholes where they don't have to. They don't have to listen to any of that. They don't have to do anything. Yeah, the world is a changing, and it's unraveling right before your eyes. Now, what about these markets? Again, those that got the PulseWave price trigger reports were already alerted to all the nonsense that was going on. That's what the rally and crash alerts are for. They let you know if things are getting a little twisted so that you can avoid making a mistake in said market. That's what we do. That's how we roll. That's why they're pulse waves, for that particular reason right there. They lined all of y'all up and washing you out because you didn't know or you don't know what you don't know. And coming into the market this morning, I think a lot of people got a shock. They got quite the shock because they realize now, oh my goodness, this is no joke. This market has officially pulled back on me. Where do we go from here? Well, it depends. Depends on quite a few things. It depends on how the market closes, for one thing. And it depends on how deep they want to cut. If they want to go deeper, then we have a long way to go and we haven't even yet to fall. However, if they're going to pull the plug, then you will get a taste of what that looks like also. A lot of the Robinhood traders, they think markets only go up and that markets never go down. They never go down. All you got to do is just, do what the market do. Just keep buying every close because we're in a bull market. Yeah, about that. I tell you, man, you can't make this stuff up. It is what it is. This is so rich. And there are more outages at Robinhood and at Charles Schwab. Yeah. Yeah. And right around the time that the split with was it Tesla and Apple happened, yeah. A lot of people got hosed in that too because they wanted to, operate in the market, and in fast market conditions, it's almost impossible to get a fill. So all of the noobs got a little taste of what that's like. Yeah, imagine not being able to get your fill in a market that is moving against you. It's a painful thing. It doesn't feel good at all. Well, guess what? People who thought they knew a little something something just found out this morning and on Friday that they know nothing. How Jim Cramer said, "You know nothing. You know nothing." Yeah, that's what's happening right now. They know nothing. I bet you're wishing that you had that subscription to PulseWave Trading. I bet you wish that you would have listened when I warned y'all about what was coming. Well, I don't think they're quite done with you yet. I think there's more pain to come. They want you to feel disgusted with yourself. And then right when you pull the plug and say, "I'm never doing this again," that's when Facebook and Apple and Tesla will take off again. And this time they will reach even higher highs than the previous high. They take that out. And now they leave you scratching your head like, what in the world just happened? I'll tell you what this is called. It's called a shakeout. Markets like to balloon themselves up to a certain point, shake out the weak hands, and then keep pushing. That's just what it does. Except for this year was different because they were telegraphing to you what they were about to do before they did it. The elites already said, "Yo, man, we about to bring this market down because we're getting closer to the election." So they have to make sure that the market is so disgusting and that people become so disgusted with it that they want to get Trump up out of there. See, that's the mastermind behind all of this. Oh, you didn't know there was a mastermind behind all of this? Well, now you do. That is the mastermind effect. That's what they do when they want to push an agenda that has nothing to do with nothing. So this agenda says, get him up out of there. Well, how are we going to get him up out of there? You got to crush the market, bring it down. So all the big players are net short, betting against all the stupid heads that keep buying, thinking that the market can only go up. And they have no strategy for taking profit. They have no strategy for any of that. They are grossly unprepared to do battle. In a bull market, everybody's a genius. In a bear market, all the geniuses die. Death of 1,000 cuts. They keep buying, thinking, okay, it'll just bounce back. They get stopped out again. Market goes lower. They buy some more. The market goes lower. They buy even more. The market goes lower. It keeps going lower until they run out of money. Then once all of the noobs run out of money, the market rallies again, once again, leaving them behind in the dust to pick up the pieces. And then here come the lawsuits. I'm suing. I didn't know about stock splits. I didn't know Apple was going to split like that. I didn't know Tesla was going to split. I don't know what a split is. I thought they meant banana splits. I thought they meant Tesla was going to buy everybody a banana split. Hey, what do I know? I know nothing. You know something? I know nothing. And then they'll sue and they'll say, we need to do something to prevent this from happening. And again, not understanding that the markets are already overly managed. So now you invite the government in to do even more micromanaging of an already overmanaged situation in the first place. And then here we go. Again, people don't realize what they're asking for when they beg, and I mean beg the government to step in. The government can't wait for you to invite them to step in. And then that's when the chaos happens. So don't get it twisted, ladies and gentlemen. This is not about you. It's about them. It just so happens that you are the cannon fodder that they use to light the fuse. So don't get it twisted. Don't ever think that they love you and they need you just because they thank you a few times for doing all the heavy lifting for them. You're the one that had the market to inflate in the first place because you kept buying the bankrupt companies. Why did you buy a bankrupt company? Who told you to do that? So you just made their day for them. You made their year, and they thank you for it. Well, that being said, folks, man, you don't want to miss out. PulseWaveTrading.com. We got some specials going on for y'all. We got some things going on for y'all. And tonight's end of day report is going to be very fun because, you know, when the Dow was down like 1,000 points on Friday, everybody was in shock and in disbelief. And then for the Dow to drop another 500 on you today, everybody's still in disbelief. Like, oh no, what have I done? And where's the market going from here? Wouldn't you like to know? PulseWaveTrading.com. And remember, bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get slaughtered. So remember to take what you can and give nothing back. And I'm out. Peace.